The ToK essay questions for students taking their exams in November 2025 have been published. In today's video, I'm going to take you through my first steps in unpacking these essay questions, working out what they could mean, and starting to think of some of the ways of answering them. Welcome to ToK Today. I'm Daniel and I enjoy writing and vlogging about theory of knowledge. When any new ToK essay questions are published, I like to practice the central advice of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by Douglas Adams, which is don't panic. And I just let them sit in my subconscious for a few days. I'm a great believer in latent learning. Let the subconscious do some of the work. And then after a few days, I can come back to the questions and I find I have more ideas and more creative ideas about the questions than I initially had. Now, my first step in thinking about each prescribed title is to ask the simple question, what type of question is this? I've come up with 5 basic categories of ToK question, and all ToK essay questions fit into at least one of these categories. Here they are on the screen. They are questions about the accuracy of knowledge, questions about the development of knowledge, questions about methods, tools, and technology and knowledge, questions about the ethics of knowledge, and finally, epistemic questions. Now, if you want to know more about each of these categories of question, then watch the video linked above or follow the link in the video description. So I'll now explain which category of question each of the November 25 essay titles fits into and how that can help us both understand the question and start to answer that question. However, before I do that, please can I ask you to like this video if you're getting value from it or if you're just feeling generous, and subscribe to the channel for more ToK content. Okay, so essay number 1 is whether conventions limit or expand the ability of historians and artists to produce knowledge. So this is about how knowledge is made. So it clearly fits into my third category of methods, tools, and technology. However, it could also be about the development of knowledge over time. And as we go through these questions, you'll soon see that you could develop an argument for each question to fit into any of the categories. It's the process of developing that argument that will help you to understand the question. Anyway, for question number 1, I'm arguing that it is mainly about methods, tools, and technology used to produce knowledge. Now, because I've decided it's about methods, tools, and technology and the development of knowledge, I can look at the sorts of knowledge arguments that are typically explored in such questions. You see, I've analysed all of the examiner reports and the examiner preparation notes from the last few years to identify the sorts of arguments that examiners are looking for when they set questions about the development of knowledge, methods, tools, and technology. And if you want more details on the typical arguments that examiners expect for these types of questions, check out the video linked above and in the video description. Now, the second question for November 25 is about the relationship between knowing and understanding. And I think this essay question sits very firmly in my epistemic category. These are questions about the nature of knowledge, the qualitative aspects of knowing, and links with things like experience, memory, and emotion. This is the less structured aspect of ToK, and if you're interested in finding out about the typical arguments that examiners expect for epistemic questions, then check out the video linked in the video description or read the blog on the ToK Today website, also linked in the video description. Now, obviously, just because they're the typical arguments that examiners expect, it doesn't mean they're the arguments that you have to use. You know, you can develop your own arguments, but if you want to see the sorts of things that examiners have expected to see in the past, then, check out the links in the video description. Okay, just to say that I'll be bringing out detailed videos on each of the questions, and there'll be student guidance notes and a teacher support pack, and I hope that that's all done by the end of March, because that's my work for March sort of sorted out. Okay, the third question in November 25 is about whether knowledge should be pursued for its own sake rather than for its application, and this is the maths question. But don't run away from the maths question. Then the maths question is often the easiest question, and you certainly don't have to be good at maths to do the maths question. So back to question 3, the one about pursuing knowledge for its own sake or for application. Now this question easily fits into any of the 5 categories. Where it slots most easily will partly depend on the second area of knowledge that you choose. I can most easily develop arguments for this question by looking at it as being concerned with the development of knowledge. So I'm going to put it in that category. But it also has strong ties with the accuracy of knowledge and the epistemic category. Again, if you want to see the typical types of knowledge arguments associated with those categories, then check out the videos and blog posts linked in the video description. Okay, question 4 asks you about whether changing the methods of an AoK also changes the scope of an AoK. So one of the categories is actually mentioned in the question, and that's quite clearly methods, tools, and technology. And the other category that I can most readily place this question into is the development of knowledge category, because I can see this question as being about the relationship between the method and the knowledge that it produces. And for me, that's about the development of knowledge over time. Of course, you may wish to approach the essay in a completely different way, and that would be entirely valid as well. Link in the video description for more information on how to answer questions in the development of knowledge category. Now, question 5, and we're pushing on, we're getting towards the end of this list. Question 5 is the one about temporarily setting aside what we already know. So I note with interest that question 5 asks about the pursuit of knowledge rather than simply about the production of knowledge or the acquisition of knowledge. So students are going to need to define what is meant by the pursuit of knowledge. Possibly it implies something different to the acquisition or the production of knowledge. I'll go into more depth in the detailed guidance notes on this question, on ways in which the IB have defined this term in past questions. And this immediately strikes me as an epistemic question. Is all new knowledge built on preceding knowledge type of question? But that's also a sort of development of knowledge question. And then we look at the word desirable in the title. The use of the word desirable compels us to ask about the function or purpose of knowledge. So it could also be placed in the accuracy and ethical categories. And if you want to know more about how to answer questions in the epistemic or ethics categories, then you already know it. Watch the video linked in the video description or read the blog. When I read this question, I started to wrangle with the ideas of a priori knowledge and a posteriori knowledge. It swings into my mind memories of early Tuesday morning's introduction to philosophy classes many, many years ago. But don't worry, you don't have to think about that, because ToK is not philosophy. Honestly, it's not. I've been told that by the IB. Finally, question 6 is the question about the role of empathy in AoK history and the human sciences. And we're asked about the importance of empathy, which immediately leads us to ask, important for what? So I would place this question under the accuracy of knowledge category. But then it's also about the development of knowledge over time, and it's possibly about methods, tools, and technology. Finally, because it's specifically about history and the human sciences, we could also approach it as a question about ethical issues arising from the production of knowledge, because there are specific ethical issues that are pertinent to history and the human sciences. So as you get into this process of understanding the questions in terms of their category types, you can develop arguments for placing each question under any of the 5 categories. And that's absolutely fine. There are no predetermined answers for the essay questions. It's the process of considering which category they should be placed under that allows us to do 2 things. Firstly, we get a better understanding of the question, as we're unpacking the question, as we say in the ToK world. And secondly, we know the sorts of arguments that examiners expect for each of the question categories. As I said, I've analysed the examiner reports from the last few years to develop a more specific understanding of the types of responses that examiners expect for each category. Now, if you want more help understanding and writing a response to a November 25 ToK essay question, I'll be publishing detailed essay guidance notes and a video explaining approaches to each question in the next few weeks. I hope to have that out by early April. So you'll want to be subscribed to this channel and click the bell icon so that you make sure that you receive a reminder when that's published. Many thanks for watching today, and stay ToKtastic, my friend.